What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today I think I'm going to have a fun one for you guys. What you see in front of you is $350 worth of change. We've got $175 worth of customer wrapped rolls. That's 10 rolls of each denomination from pennies to quarters, and 10 rolls each from pennies to quarters of Loomis-wrapped rolls. So we're doing a little this versus that, or customer wrapped versus Loomis-wrapped, and we're going to see which performs better for us today, because I do get the question quite frequently, should I get bank rolls or should I focus on those customer rolls? So we're doing a little versus battle. I'm looking forward to getting into it, and anything we find today may also be going into our albums. So if we do find some cool stuff, we'll be sure to pull out our albums and fill those holes. So with that, let's jump into it. All right, well, we're going to start with the customer-wrapped pennies and then move on to the Loomis-wrapped pennies so we can do a head-to-head comparison as we go through. If you are new to penny hunts, I do have a document description down below this video where embedded in there is a little penny hunting mat. I do also highly recommend that if you don't have one of these, that you invest in it, and it is the Strike It Rich with Pocket Change book, and I will have a link in the description down below to my Amazon affiliate link for this book, but it is fantastic for giving you both values and pictures of what you're looking for. If you are new to coin roll hunting, you are going to want some sort of microscope, and I also have links to those in the description down below. We'll of course have our handy dandy scale here, because we'll need to be able to weigh stuff to make sure it's copper, which would be 1982 and earlier, but 82 is a split year, and so you need to weigh them to make sure you've got copper versus zinc. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of open one or two rolls here real quick, and we're going to look for Wheaties really quickly. That's one of the main things we're hoping to find, but of course there's tons of little mint errors and varieties that we're hoping to find along the way. That's a 62, 79, and if I happen to find any DDOs, DDRs, wide AMs, any of that kind of good stuff, we will of course bring you in and show you that stuff and compare it to the pictures in the book or compared to pictures online. Typically in my penny hunts, especially when I do bank boxes, I only get these days between about 6 and 8 wheat pennies a box. So I am not hopeful that we'll find too many wheat pennies today, but who knows? So nothing in these first two rolls. I'm going to go back through them, look at the face and the reverse of each and every penny. We will be pulling our copper, because copper right now is at least 3 cents per penny, so we want to hang on to all of that as well. And I'll bring you in as soon as we find something interesting. We've got roll number 6 out, and it's our first kind of find. As I was spreading them out here, we did see something that didn't belong, and it is a really old and cruddy dime, but hey, I just made 9 cents on this roll. Looks like we've got a 2005 Philly. Now, I did pull a single 2009 Professional Life. Now, this was the commemorative year, 2009. They did Philly and Denver's, and they did 4 special reverse designs on those. And then I've pulled a 2024 D and possibly one other book upgrade. And I've got a little bit of copper pile going here, but other than that, the pennies have been quiet. So we finished getting through all of our customer wrap pennies, and I've got a lot of stuff laid out here that we pulled from those. Nothing terribly special, but I did want to take you through what I pulled and explain why. Over here, you'll see our copper pennies. Now, we've got 70 of these. These are in stacks of 10. Now, copper weight on those, based on today's copper price of $4.29 a pound, this is $1.95 worth of copper for effectively 70 cents worth of pennies. Over here, I did pull, and this isn't included in the count, a couple of more of our red or nicer looking copper pennies. We're going to see if those are upgrades for our book. I also do roll these separately. I keep kind of the red copper separate from the brown copper. We did get that one dime that was misstuffed. We got a couple of the 2009 commemoratives. We got 2 of the formative years, 1 of the Professional Life. And then I got a couple of stunners like a 94, a 2024 D. We're going to check these against our album when we're done doing the pennies to see if any of these are upgrades. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all of this aside and see how that compares to what would have happened had I just gone to the bank and gotten these Loomis rolls. So let's go ahead and get one of these penny rolls unwrapped. That looks like brand new pennies, or at least we've got some brand new enders. Let's go ahead and start with this one and see what this roll looks like. See if we have any wheat pennies in here. See how it looks a little bit different than our customer wrapped. Now with 70 copper pennies out of those 10 rolls, really 74, that's almost a full roll and a half of copper out of 10 rolls, which isn't so bad. I don't know if I'll do as well in these bank wrapped ones, but we're going to keep count and we will see. So we definitely have some copper in here. Just checking for wheat pennies real quick. There's an 82 copper. Something really nice looking, 2017. 92. So no Wheaties in this one, a handful of copper. We're going to check all that out, and I will bring you in probably at the end of the pennies unless we find something interesting along the way. Well, we couldn't find one in our customer wrap rolls, but 4 rolls in on our bank wrapped, we've come across our first wheat penny, which is one of the things we get excited about when we hunt pennies. See what we got here, a 1950 Denver, and I'm not seeing any kind of variety on that on my checklist here, so we'll put it on the board. We've got 1 wheat penny on the hunt, which I'm excited about. We're going to keep on hunting, and I guess while I have you, we have 1 2009, 1 2024 Denver, and our copper pile is adding up. Still on roll number 4 here, bringing you in, not because it's anything too special, it's just something I don't find a lot of, and that is these kind of early 70s San Francisco minted pennies, and this one's in pretty good shape. I would say this one's red. It is circulated, but it's still a decent looking penny, and what I do like about these kind of 72, 73 San Franciscos is they're pretty low mintage. I was looking at Redbook already. This one's like 317 million. Whereas the 1973 Philly, it's like 3.7 billion of them made. So super low mintage penny here. It'll go in my red copper, and I'll definitely be checking it for an upgrade for my penny albums. So we've got into roll number 6, and we've got our next find. It is a 1940 wheat penny. So in my book, so far the Loomis rolls are winning. They're not producing as much copper. But like I said, one of the main reasons I like to do this is I'm trying to fill up my albums, and I really need to start finding more wheat pennies. I think I've already got this 1940, but it's still exciting to finally get a few. All the way up here on roll number 9, just 3 coins from the end, and we've got a 3rd wheat penny. It's an ugly one. What do we have here? We got ourselves a 1955 Denver, which is pretty cool. It has seen better days, but our 3rd wheat penny out of 10 rolls of bank wrap coins is pretty darn good. So we have reached the end of our Loomis-wrapped penny hunt, and here in front of you is everything that we pulled out of those 10 rolls, and we're going to do a little comparison to what we got out of our customer wrap rolls. I have a few notes here that I'll be reading from, and I do want to show you one thing that I discovered while I was going through my book fills and or upgrades. But spoiler alert, the Loomis-wrapped rolls are going to win this competition. One, because we got more copper pennies out of the 10 rolls of bank wrapped rolls than we did out of the customer wrapped. We had, if I did the math right on these, if I added them all up, we had 90 in total between our standard copper and any of the nice red copper we pulled, plus our wheat pennies. So just value of copper alone, it was $1.95 in the customer wrapped and $2.52 worth of copper in the bank wrap. So it was 74 coppers versus 90 coppers. We also found 3 wheat pennies, so a 1940, a 1955 Denver, which I did have in order, and we had ourselves a 19, which was this? This was a 1950 Denver, so I did have them out of order. So 3 wheat pennies out of our Loomis wrap is going to win from a Wheatie perspective. We also, I believe we got 1 more nice red copper penny. We did get 1 extra 2009 out of our customer wrapped. We only got 2 out of our bank wrapped, and I had 3 potential book upgrades. None of them actually upgraded anything, but what I want to show you here is this 1980D is pretty darn nice, and it is going to be an upgrade, or should I say a book fill, as I was going through my book, and you will see that the 1980D spot that I punched down was in fact a 1981D. So I need to fix that. I punched down the wrong coin in my book, so I have a book filler, not a book upgrade. So again, if that all didn't make sense, I've got it on this sheet of paper if you want to pause the video and take a quick look. I'm going to say, like I said, the bank wrapped are going to win simply because, and I didn't actually even write it on here, we had 3 wheat pennies that we didn't have in our customer wrapped up here. So we're going to go ahead and move on to these nickels and see how customer wrapped versus bank wrapped does there. All right, well, here we go. Let's actually open up maybe 2 or 3 rolls of these nickels and see if we can find any silver war nickels or anything interesting that jumps out at us just from doing a quick cursory look of these coins. Now, we will also be looking for things like V nickels and buffalo nickels. Let's see here. That's just ugly. That's a current buffalo nickel, so nothing there. It's a 2005 buffalo nickel. Or bison nickel, as the case may be. All right, I'm making a mess over here. Let's just take a quick swipe through. Looks like an 84. Now, in nickels, typically anything before 1960 we consider a find. So we will be pulling all of those. But the main things that we're really hungry for are those errors, varieties, and war nickels, which are 1942 to 1945. And they will be slightly different color. And they will have a mint mark above the Monticello building rather than beside it. Like the pennies, I will go back through these looking for those varieties and errors. I'm just going to open one more so you guys can see it on camera, and then I will hunt until I find something of interest. Just looking at edges here. All right, nothing jumping out. That one's kind of ugly. It's a 1960. All right, nothing there. Well, let me actually take a closer look at these, and I'll be sure to bring you in as soon as we find something interesting. Bring you in all the way up here on roll number 8. We're, I don't know, about halfway through the roll, and it's not for this nickel. It's the one I have under the scope, and I have covered this on previous nickel videos, but on the, actually, let me show it to you. On the 2023 Philly, there are about 100, I'm making up that number, it's a bunch, of double die reverses, and I'm going to show you the really easy way to know you've got one is in these bottom sort of door and window sills. You'll see an extra sill down here, and this one's pretty weak. I have found much nicer ones of these, but you'll see we've got an extra C on here. We've got the top of an extra T, a little bit of an extra I, and this is not your traditional like strike doubling or machine doubling that you've heard of. Now, the really nice versions of these, they'll be a little bit stronger doubling across all the letters, kind of in the N, T, I, C, and the E. This is very minor. But again, for me, the telltale sign is when you get this doubling in the door. Make sure you're checking those letters. I don't think there's a lot of value in these because there's so many. I did a hunt, I don't know now, probably a month or two ago, and I found about a dozen of these in a box. But it's just something to look out for if you're not. It's just something fun to find. I like finding them, and it's our first kind of major thing on our customer wrap nickels because it's mainly been 2020s through 2023s. The earliest nickel I found so far is in 1962, so nothing special so far in these guys right here. All right, well, those were some of the worst customer wrap nickels I think I've probably ever been through. We did have that one 2023 Philly with the double die reverse. We'll be setting that aside. These Loomis rolls won't have to work too hard to beat those, but I'll say in the Atlanta area, nickels are pretty tough when they're customer wrapped. They're either really good or they're really bad, and today was just really bad. I'm going to go ahead and open 2 rolls on camera, and we'll just kind of rifle through them real quick to see if we have any oldies, any buffaloes, any war nickels, anything like that. Because it's always fun doing that together, especially if we find something cool like some silver. That guy was a little off color. I was hoping we would have something there. It's a 1960. So getting close. We want anything 1959 and earlier. Didn't see anything old there. Let's go ahead and look at roll number 2. See what that looks like. All right, so for me, whenever I get a roll open and I see something that's a little miscolored or chipped away at, I always get excited by those. Again, simply because war nickels have just a slightly different tone to them. Just because they are 35% silver. They're, obviously older coins. And they kind of stand out like a sore thumb usually. What's really cool is when they don't, because then you have usually like a mint state type situation on your hands, so the coins can be worth a little bit more money. So with that, not seeing anything old in here, but I'm going to go back through them. We'll look for those varieties and things, and I'll keep on heading through these Loomis rolls, and hopefully we find a few things to bring you in for. So just busted into roll number 3, and it did have one of those old enders that I kind of probably showed off earlier in the video. I've already looked at the face to be sure. As you can see on the back, we've got a Denver mint mark, and we are close to the end of the run for us. This is a 1958 Denver. 59 Denver, or 59 Philly and Denver would be the last one we care about. So we'll put that up here on the board as our first find in the Loomis-wrapped rolls. So same roll, just a couple of nickels later, we've got our next find. It came up obverse facing. We've got ourselves a 1954. Now, I think the Denver and the San Francisco have some varieties. The Philly does not. So let's see what we have here. We've got a Philly, no mint mark right over here. So 1954 to go with our 1958. So roll number 5, and we're having a little bit more fun because we're finding things that we want to hang on to. We've got ourselves a 1954. What do we have this time? We've got ourselves a Denver, and if I'm not mistaken, there is a repunched mint mark out there for the 54 Denver. A little piece of metal right there. I'm going to have to look at my book and compare that against some pictures because most of the repunch mint marks end up being inside the D, so I will be right back. Okay, well, I went ahead and got into my Strike It Rich book, and as you can see here, that D sits, or at least the repunch mint mark, sits way low inside the D, and as it says over here, a lot of people originally thought it was like a D over S. Mine, when I zoom way in, that little piece right there that I thought was metal is actually just a clean spot in all of this dirt. So just a regular 54D. False alarm. Getting into roll number 6, and we've got a foreign this time. We've got a Canadian nickel, a 1987. I like to call them beaver nickels. We got Queen Elizabeth there. I'm struggling to flip this over. Queen Elizabeth there on the front. We got a little bit of tarnish on there, but a nice little foreign on the hunt. Well, as you can see, I've got the dimes on the ready, and it's because we are done with those Loomis-wrapped nickels. And quick recap, we didn't find a whole lot. We did have 4 finds, though. We had 1 Canadian, we have a 54 Denver, a 54 Philly, or vice versa, and a 1958 Denver. So if we went on numbers of finds, I would say the Loomis rolls won. If we go based on maybe what's cooler to find, the customer wrapped having that DDR, which I left over here, which was that 2023 Philly, that could be the winner to you. Now, in general, in the Atlanta area, I tend to get more finds in my nickel boxes than I do in customer wrap nickels. However, my biggest scores ever with nickels have been from customer wrapped. So when I first got into nickels, I had a huge score from a Wells Fargo. The video's on my channel. It's one of the first things I ever, I think, live streamed. It was pretty bad. But I found just tons of rolls of war nickels and buffalo nickels and all kinds of good stuff. So this time, I'm actually going to declare the winner of the Loomis rolls because I'd rather find more stuff than this one 2023 Philly because I've already found so many of those, and honestly, they're not that hard to find. I like these because sitting back there, I'm still trying to fill up my rolls of each individual year from 1938 to 1954, both Philly and Denver. So for me, the winner this time, like I said, Loomis, but your mileage will vary. Perhaps you would have rather had the DDR. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get into these dimes. I'm going to put the camera up on top of the rack, and we'll open a couple 2 or 3 rolls together. Here's a little preview of what's coming in our next episode. I'm going to end this one here because the video is getting to be a little bit long during editing, so I wanted to break it up so you guys could enjoy these in 2 parts. But we've got some good stuff coming. I hope you enjoy it. If you did, let me know. Drop one down below. Leave me a like and a comment. Make sure you do check out part 2. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you do click on that subscribe button and then click that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. I'd really appreciate it. With that, you guys take care, and I look forward to seeing you in part 2.